She told him that night, not over the phone. She called him and said, "Come over." And he came. No food, no flowers, just himself at her door at 7:30 in a gray hoodie with his hands in the front pocket and the careful expression he had been wearing since the living room. She let him in. They sat in the kitchen. She put 2 glasses of water on the table and sat down across from him and said, "I've decided to keep the baby." The kitchen was very still. Junho looked at her, not with shock. They were past shock. This was a man receiving information that changed the geometry of his future and trying to locate himself inside the new shape. "Okay," he said. "That's not enough of a response." "I know." He turned the water glass between his palms. "I'm trying to find the right words." "You don't have to find the right words. You have to find the true ones." He looked up. "I'm scared. I want to tell you I'm not, but that's not the true words. I'm scared. I'm 30 years old and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and now I'm going to be a father, and those 2 things don't fit together in my head yet." "They don't have to fit yet." "Gloria, I'm 60 years old and I'm terrified every single morning. Terrified of the risk. Terrified of what my children will say. Terrified of what your mother will say. Terrified that my body will not cooperate." She pressed her palms flat on the table. "Fear is not a reason. It's just weather. You stand in it." He was quiet. Then he said, "Is that what you do? Stand in it?" "I've been standing in it my whole life." He nodded. Then he said, "I want to be there. For the baby. For you. I want to be the kind of man who deserves to be there." He paused. "I'm just not sure I know how to be that man yet." "Then Italy is where you start figuring it out. And when we come back, we face all of it. Your mother, my children, all of it. I mean it, Gloria. No more half-truths. No more someone." "Agreed." He held her gaze. Then he said, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to hear it without managing your reaction." She stilled. "Okay. I've been watching you carry this. For weeks. The doctor's appointments, the decision, the Lorraine conversation, booking the flights, calling Denise." He set down the glass. "And I've been letting you carry it because it's your body and your choice, and I didn't want to overstep. But I've also been letting you carry it because it was easier than carrying it with you." He looked at her directly. "That was cowardice. Not consideration, cowardice. And I need you to know that I know the difference." Gloria looked at him across the table. She had not expected this. "That was hard to say," she said. "Yes." "Why are you saying it now?" "Because you told me to find the true words. And that's the truest one I have tonight." He paused. "I've been a coward about this. About you. And I'm going to stop." The kitchen was quiet. The ceiling fan turned. Outside on Oakwood Avenue, the summer night pressed against the windows with its heat and its cicadas. "Okay," Gloria said. And this time, the word was not a burial or a performance. It was the sound of a woman lowering a wall she had not known. She was still standing behind. "Say it again," he said. "Okay," she said. Softer this time. He reached across the table and took her hand. Not dramatically, just took it. And she let him, which was its own kind of bravery. Not the bravery of saying hard things, but the bravery of letting someone hold you after they have said them. "The baby," he said. "The baby," she said. The words sat between them like something that had been waiting to be spoken for 12 weeks and had finally arrived at the right table. They left on a Friday morning, 4:30 a.m., Junho at her door, with a single backpack and a rolling carry-on and the slightly dazed expression of someone who had not slept. His jaw was faintly stubbled, a thing she had never seen on him before. This disheveled version of him felt more real than any version she had seen, more present, more his. "You look terrible," she said. "Nervous," he said. "About the flight?" "About what you said last night. About being a coward." He picked up her carry-on without asking. "I've been thinking about it since I left. I couldn't sleep." She looked at him. That was the point. "I know. he stopped at the top of her porch steps, set the bag down, turned to face her in the 4:30 Alabama dark, with the Bradford pears black against the sky and the street empty in both directions. I need to know that you're not going to spend 3 weeks in Italy waiting for me to fail, because if that's what this trip is, a test I don't know the criteria for, then I'm going to fail it. I'll fail it because I'll be so busy trying not to fail it that I won't be present. And you deserve present. Gloria looked at him. The porch light was behind her, casting his face in soft shadow. She could see the tiredness and the earnestness and the stubbornness of a man who had been up since midnight thinking about a word she had used and had decided he needed to address it before they got on a plane. "I'm not testing you," she said, "but you're watching. I'm always watching. I'm a teacher. Watching is how I understand things. There's a difference between watching and waiting for the verdict." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Yes, there is." She picked up her own bag. "I'm watching because I'm trying to learn who you are outside of Wednesday afternoons, not to grade you, to know you." She met his eyes. "That's different." "Is it?" "It is if you let it be." He held her gaze for a long moment in the 4:30 dark. Then he picked up her carry-on again. "Okay," he said, "I'll let it be." They drove to the airport in his Hyundai with the radio off. At security, he put her carry-on on the belt before his own backpack without being asked. She noticed. She didn't say anything. At Gate B7, they sat in the plastic chairs with airport coffee and the quiet of early morning travelers. His knee was bouncing. She put her hand on it. It stopped. "You have to stop being nervous," she said. "It makes me nervous." "I thought you said fear was just weather." "It is, but your weather system is affecting mine." He looked at her sideways. "That's not how weather works. I'm a school teacher, not a meteorologist." He laughed, that real one surprised out of him, and the laugh loosened something in the gate area. A woman across the aisle looked up and smiled without knowing why. But under the laugh, something else. He said, quieter, "When I told you I was a coward last night, what did you actually think?" Gloria looked at her coffee cup. "I thought, finally." "Finally?" "Finally he's saying the true thing instead of the careful thing." She looked at him. "I've been waiting for the true thing for a long time, Junho. The careful thing is exhausting to receive. You have to keep wondering what's underneath it." He absorbed this. What if the true thing is worse than the careful thing? It usually is. That's why people choose the careful thing. She paused. But the true thing is the only thing you can actually build on. The gate agent announced boarding. They stood. He picked up both bags. "I'm going to try," he said. "Not a promise, a declaration of intent, which is more honest than a promise because it doesn't pretend to know the outcome." "I know," she said. They got on the plane. Rome hit Gloria like a hand on the chest. They landed at Fiumicino at 11 in the morning, cleared customs, found their car service, and drove into the city through traffic that moved with a confidence that had no relationship to lane markings. By the time they reached the hotel in Trastevere, the jet lag and the pregnancy nausea and the accumulated weight of the past weeks had reduced Gloria to a quiet overwhelm. She was too tired to hide. She sat on the edge of the hotel bed, low wooden frame, white linen, terracotta tiles cool under her feet, and looked at the window. A narrow Roman street, laundry strung between buildings. A cat on a windowsill. The smell of something frying from below. Junho set down the bags and sat beside her. "Okay?" he asked. "Overwhelmed," she said. "Good or bad?" "Both. Simultaneously." He nodded. Then he said, "I looked up a trattoria on the plane. Corner of the next street. Opens at noon." He paused. "You haven't eaten since the airport sandwich." "I'm not hungry." "You're 11 weeks pregnant. Hungry isn't the metric." She looked at him. The precision of 11 weeks. The tracking of the airport sandwich. She recognized this. The same precision as the extra kimchi. The same attention as the cobblestone routes she didn't yet know he would take. He had been paying attention to her in ways she hadn't been cataloging. And now, in a dim hotel room in Rome, the accumulated evidence of that attention landed differently than it had in Huntsville. In Huntsville, it had felt like love. Here, it felt like something harder to name, something that required her to stop protecting herself against it. "Raymond never noticed when I hadn't eaten," she said. The words came out before she decided to say them. Junho was quiet. 22 years of marriage, and he never once tracked whether I'd had lunch. I always tracked his. I knew his coffee order and his lunch preference, and whether he'd eaten before a difficult conversation, because a hungry Raymond was a cruel Raymond. She looked at her hands in her lap. I spent 22 years managing someone who never once thought to manage anything about me. She hadn't planned to say this. She had not, in 8 months of Wednesday afternoons and Saturday evenings, talked about Raymond with any depth. "Why are you telling me this now?" Junho asked, not defensively, with genuine want to understand. "Because you noticed the sandwich." And noticing the sandwich he would never have noticed, is either the kindest thing or the most dangerous thing. I haven't decided which. "Why dangerous?" "Because I could get used to it." She said it flat, without decoration. "I could get used to being noticed, and if I get used to it and then it stops," she stopped herself. "It won't stop," he said. "You don't know that." "No, I don't." He was quiet for a moment. "But I know why Raymond stopped noticing, or I think I do." She looked at him. "He stopped noticing because you made it easy not to notice. You managed everything so completely that there was nothing left to pay attention to. You became the infrastructure, and infrastructure is invisible." He paused. "I notice you because you don't let me manage anything. You book the flights and make the decisions and carry your own bags until I take them without asking. You're not infrastructure. You're the whole building." Gloria looked at this man, 30 years old, on a hotel bed in Rome at noon on a Tuesday, with jet lag in his eyes and more clarity than men twice his age had managed to locate in her direction. "That might be the most useful thing anyone has ever said to me," she said. "Or the most alarming." "Both," she said, simultaneously. He stood up and held out his hand. "Come on, trattoria. You need to eat, and I need to stop being this honest before I say something I can't take back." She took his hand and stood. "You can't take back what you've already said." "I know. That's what I'm afraid of." They went to the trattoria. The cacio e pepe was extraordinary. The bread was better than any bread had a right to be. Gloria ate everything on her plate. Junho watched her eat with the quiet satisfaction of a man who has done the one specific right thing and knows it and doesn't need to be thanked for it. Walking back, the amber afternoon light fell across the cobblestones and turned everything golden. His shoulder was close enough to hers that she could feel the warmth of him. "Junho," she said. The thing about the infrastructure. What about it?" "Don't let me do it with you." She said it without looking at him. "I will try to do it. It's the only way I know how to love. I manage and I carry, and I make it easy and I become invisible. Don't let me." He was quiet for a moment. "How do I stop you?" "Notice the sandwich. Keep noticing, even when I tell you I'm not hungry." "Okay," he said. "I can do that." They walked back to the hotel. They unpacked. They slept in the white linen afternoon, not touching, just sleeping. The sleep of two people who had said more true things in one day than they had said in 8 months, and needed the dark and the quiet to let it settle. The first week in Rome was the week they learned each other outside of Huntsville. They walked everywhere. The Colosseum, the Forum, the Pantheon, the Borghese Gardens, Trastevere at midnight. Gloria's left knee ached by day 3, and Junho began choosing routes with fewer cobblestones without saying anything, the way she had asked him to, noticing without announcing. On the 4th day, he did not choose carefully enough. A wrong turn into a steeply cobbled alley near Campo dei Fiori. The stones uneven, and Gloria's knee registering its protest in the specific deep way that arthritis registers, not sharp but grinding, the kind that accumulates. She said nothing. She kept walking, She kept walking because she had been keeping walking through discomfort for 60 years, and the habit was deeper than the pain. Junho stopped. We're going back. I'm fine. You've been compensating for 3 blocks. I can see it in how you're holding your left side. I said I'm fine. Gloria. His voice was quiet, but it had something in it she hadn't heard before. Not the careful tone, not the calibrated tone, but something more direct. The tone of a man who has decided not to be a coward about the small things either. I see you. You're not fine. We're going back. She stopped, turned to look at him. He was standing in the middle of a Roman alley in the afternoon heat, carrying both their bags, completely certain, not asking for permission or looking for her approval. You don't get to make that decision, she said. Someone has to. I've been making my own decisions for 60 years. And you've been ignoring your own body for just as long, apparently? He said it without cruelty, as a fact. The knee has been hurting since Tuesday, and you haven't said a word about it, and I've been routing around it without telling you because I thought you'd push back. And here we are in an alley in Rome, and you're in pain and still walking and calling it fine. He held her gaze. I'm not Raymond. I'm not going to not notice. But I'm also not going to pretend I don't see what I see just because you want me to. The alley was very still. A cat moved in the shadows by a doorway. Somewhere above them, a window opened and the smell of garlic drifted down. Gloria looked at him. The directness in his face, the carrying of both bags, the refusal to manage around her the way she had asked him not to manage around her, which meant he had been listening even when the listening required him to contradict her. The knee has been hurting since Monday, she said. I know. Monday, you were listing slightly left on the way back from the Pantheon. You noticed Monday. I notice everything. You asked me to. She looked at the cobblestones under her feet, the grinding in her knee, the 60 years of walking through it. I don't know how to stop, she said. It came out smaller than she intended, more honest than she had planned. I don't know how to say I need to stop when I need to stop. I've never done it. I know, he said. That's why I'm saying it for you. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, There's a bar at the end of this street. I saw it when we came in. We can sit there until the knee settles. Okay, and you can stop looking at me like that. Like what? Like you've won something. I haven't won anything, he said. I just didn't let you be infrastructure. She turned and walked toward the bar at the end of the street. Her knee hurt. She was walking slower than usual. She did not call it fine. Junho walked beside her, carrying both bags, not saying anything, which was exactly right. They sat in the bar for an hour and drank sparkling water and watched Rome go past the window and talked about nothing important. The architecture, the cats. Whether the espresso here was better than the espresso in Trastevere, the knee settled. They walked back by a flatter route. That evening in the hotel, she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror and thought about the word infrastructure, about 22 years of being the thing that held everything together and being invisible because of it, about 60 years of walking through pain and calling it fine, about a 30-year-old Korean man in a Roman alley who had refused to let her disappear, even when she had tried very hard to disappear. She was not finished with the habit. Habits that old don't break in a week in Rome. But she had said it out loud, I don't know how to stop, and saying it out loud was the first fracture in a wall she had been building since before Denise was born. That was enough for 1 week. The call to Denise happened on a Tuesday. 8 days into the trip, a morning when Junho had gone out early to find coffee and pastries, and Gloria was sitting on the small hotel balcony in the early Roman light with her phone in her hand and no more excuses. She called. Denise answered on the first ring. Mama. Finally. I've been waiting. I know, baby. Are you okay? You said we needed to talk and then you got on a plane and I've been... Denise. Gloria looked out over the Roman rooftops, terracotta and television antennas and laundry lines, and 2,000 years of people living their complicated lives above these streets. I need to tell you some things, and I need you to let me finish before you respond. Can you do that? A pause. You're scaring me. I know. I'm sorry. But you need to hear this from me, and you need to hear all of it. She told her. The whole thing. From the Huntsville Public Library and the biography of Hayao Miyazaki and the sweet tea from the vending machine. 8 months. The Wednesdays. The Saturdays. The kimchi jjigae. The cosmos. The porch where he said no. The 2 pink lines. The doctor's office. Evelyn's sunroom. The living room where she said I'm pregnant. The Saturday with Lorraine. The ultrasound. The heartbeat. The decision. She told her about Italy, about the man on the balcony below who had gone to find coffee and pastries because he had noticed she hadn't been eating enough in the mornings. She told her all of it, not half, everything. The line was silent for a long time after she finished. Then Denise said, "How old is he?" 30. Another silence. "Mama." Denise's voice was doing something complex. The shock and the love and the confusion, and underneath it all, struggling to surface. Something that might eventually become understanding if given enough time and room. "Mama, what?" "I know it's a lot." "A lot?" "Mama, you're pregnant. You're 60 years old and you're pregnant, and you've been seeing a 30-year-old Korean man for 8 months, and you didn't tell me." "I know. You told Lorraine before you told me." "I told Lorraine because I needed someone to tell, and I was afraid of exactly this conversation." "Afraid of me?" Denise's voice cracked on the last word. Not with anger, with hurt. The particular hurt of a child who has just discovered that their parent found them difficult to trust, which is its own kind of grief. Gloria closed her eyes. The Roman morning was warming around her. "Afraid of disappointing you," she said. "You've always seen me a certain way. Strong, reliable, decided. I didn't know how to show you a version of me that was none of those things. You could have tried. I know, that's on me. I'm sorry." The line was quiet. Then Denise said, "Is he good to you?" "Yes," Gloria said. "He's very good to me." Denise exhaled, long, shaky, the exhale of a woman recalibrating. "I need time, Mama." "I know. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying I can't. I just need time too." Her voice broke fully now. "You're having a baby, Mama. You're 60 years old and you're having a baby, and I'm just finding out from a hotel balcony in Rome, and I need a minute. Take all the time you need." "Does Kevin know?" "Not yet. You're first." A pause. Something shifted in Denise's breathing. Being first mattered. Gloria had known it would matter. She had learned, over 38 years of knowing this daughter, that Denise's need to matter was not vanity but love. The love of a firstborn who had been her mother's companion through the divorce and the house and the quiet years, who had carried a version of Gloria's loneliness without knowing it, and had never been acknowledged for the carrying. "Okay," Denise said, finally, quietly. "Okay, Mama." "Okay, what?" "Okay, I need time, and okay, I love you, and okay." She stopped, tried again. "Bring him to Atlanta. When you get back, I want to meet him. I want to look him in the eye and decide for myself." Gloria opened her eyes. The Roman rooftops were fully golden now. Below, she could hear Junho's footsteps on the stairs, the particular rhythm of him returning. "I'll bring him," she said. "Promise?" "Promise." She hung up just as Junho came through the balcony door with 2 espressos and a paper bag of cornetti. He handed her an espresso and sat in the chair beside her and opened the paper bag between them. "You called her," he said. "Not a question." "Yes." "How did it go?" "She wants to meet you when we get back." Gloria picked up a cornetto and took a bite. It was extraordinary. Everything in Rome was extraordinary if you stopped protecting yourself long enough to taste it. "She wants to meet you in Atlanta." Junho absorbed this, picked up his espresso. "Atlanta and Huntsville." "Atlanta and Huntsville," Gloria confirmed. "And Lorraine." He turned to look at her. The morning light was full on his face now, the tiredness gone, something more open and more present in its place. "3 meetings," he said. 3 meetings. "In what order?" "Lorraine first. She's been waiting the longest, and she'll be the hardest, and I want to get it over with." He nodded slowly. "And my mother?" Gloria looked at him. This was the one they hadn't talked about yet. Not directly. His mother's arrival was in 9 days. They were flying back to Huntsville in 6, which meant 3 days at home before Mrs. Park landed at Huntsville International with her suitcase and her opinions and her love for her son that was about to have to expand beyond what it had been designed to hold. "Your mother is different from Denise and Lorraine," Gloria said carefully. "Denise and Lorraine already love me. They're adjusting to new information about someone they love. Your mother is meeting a stranger who is carrying her grandchild and is twice her son's age and is not Korean." She paused. "That's not an adjustment. That's a reconfiguration." "I know. I need you to go first with her. Before she meets me, I need you to have that conversation, the real one, all of it, so that when she walks into a room with me, she has already had the chance to feel whatever she's going to feel without me having to watch it happen on her face." Jun-ho was quiet for a long time. A pigeon landed on the balcony railing and regarded them with the specific indifference of Roman pigeons, which had been watching complicated human situations for 2,000 years and had long since stopped being surprised. "That's going to be the hardest conversation I've ever had," he said. "I know it is. She's going to cry. Probably. She might not." He stopped. "She might not accept it," Gloria finished for him. "I know. And that's a cost you might have to pay. I can't pay it for you. I can't make it easier. I can only tell you that I will be standing in Huntsville when you're done, and whatever she says or doesn't say, you'll know that you were honest. You'll know that this time you said everything. Not someone, everything." He looked at her. His dark eyes were bright with something she recognized. Not tears exactly, but the precursor to them. The pressure behind the eyes of a person who is feeling too much to contain all of it. "You're not supposed to be the brave one," he said. "I'm supposed to be the brave one." "Who told you that?" "Everyone. Everything. Every story I was ever told about how this is supposed to go." "Those stories are wrong," Gloria said. "Brave is not a gender, and it's not an age, and it's not a role that gets assigned. Brave is just deciding to do the hard thing and doing it anyway." She picked up her espresso. "You've been doing it. Slower than I'd like sometimes, but you've been doing it." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "I love you." He had not said it before. Not in 8 months of Wednesday afternoons and Saturday evenings and Cosmos from the roadside. Not in the living room when she said, "I'm pregnant." Not in the kitchen when he said the baby. Not on the plane or in the trattoria or on the cobblestone streets in the amber afternoon light. Now, on a Roman balcony on a Tuesday morning with espresso and cornetti and a pigeon on the railing who had seen everything and cared about none of it, Gloria held the words. "Let them land." "I know," she said. He shook his head. "You're supposed to say it back. I know that too." He waited. "I love you," she said. "I've loved you since the library, and I've been trying not to say it out loud because saying it out loud makes it yours, and then I can't take it back if everything goes wrong." "Everything might go wrong." "I know. But you're saying it anyway. I'm 60 years old, Jun-ho. I don't have time for the version where I wait until I'm sure." He reached over and took her hand the way he had taken it on the hotel bed. Simply, without drama, because she was there and he was there, and that was reason enough. "Your mother arrives in 9 days," she said. "I know. You have to tell her everything." "I know. Not someone. Everything. My name, my age, the baby, all of it." "I know, Gloria." His grip tightened slightly. "I love you. I'm going to tell my mother I love you. I'm going to sit in a room with your terrifying best friend, and whatever verdict she delivers, I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to go to Atlanta and let Denise look at me and decide." He paused. "I'm going to do all of it. Not because I have to, because you said the true thing on this balcony, and I am not going to be the man who lets that go." The pigeon on the railing regarded them briefly and looked away. Below them, Trastevere was fully awake. The scooters and the voices and the coffee smell and the laundry and the morning breeze. "You're supposed to say something now," he said. "I know. Gloria, I'm standing in it," she said. "Give me a second." He waited. The city moved below them. The morning continued its ancient, indifferent business. "Okay," she said, "I'm standing in it. That's not a declaration of love." "No, but it's what I have right now." She looked at him. "Is that enough?" He looked back at her for a long moment. "Then yeah," he said, "that's enough." They sat on the balcony with their cold espresso and their cornetti, and the Roman morning pouring gold over everything, and the "I love you" was on the table now, said and received and irretrievable, which was terrifying and correct. And below them, the city that had been holding complicated human love for 2,000 years held this one too, without opinion, without judgment, without caring at all whether it made sense. It didn't have to make sense. It just had to be true. And it was. They flew back to Huntsville on a Thursday. Gloria sat in the window seat and watched Alabama appear below the clouds, the green and the brown and the flat sprawl of it, the arsenal visible from the air if you knew where to look, the cotton fields threading between the highways, and felt the specific compression of a life reasserting itself. Rome had been a parenthesis. Huntsville was the sentence. Jun-ho was in the middle seat beside her. He had been quiet since the Rome airport, not the careful quiet of Huntsville, but internal, preparing. She could feel it the way you feel weather coming. "You don't have to call her today," Gloria said. "I know. I'm going to anyway." "Jun-ho, if I wait, I'll find a reason not to." He turned to look at her. "She lands in 4 days. If I call her tonight, she has 4 days to process before she's standing in Huntsville with no distance between us. And if she tells you to end it?" The question landed between them at 30,000 feet. She had asked it now because the parenthesis was closing, and she needed to know what he would say when the question had weight behind it. Not in a trattoria in Rome with amber light on everything. Here, descending through Alabama clouds, with the arsenal coming up through the gray. He was quiet long enough that she felt it. The risk of having asked, the possibility that the silence meant he didn't have the answer, that the man on the Roman balcony and the man on the descent into Huntsville were not the same man. Then he said, "I tell her I love you, and I'm going to be a father, and I'm asking for her blessing, not her permission. And if she refuses the blessing, then I live without it." He said it flat, not with bravado, with the tone of a man who has sat with an outcome and accepted it. "I've been living my whole life trying not to disappoint her. I've been making myself smaller and my life smaller, and hiding the people who matter to me because her approval was the condition." He looked at the seat back in front of him. "I'm done making you a condition." Gloria looked at him. "You've never said that before." "I know. Not in Rome, not on the balcony, not in my kitchen." "I know." He turned to look at her. "I'm saying it now because we're landing in Huntsville in 40 minutes, and I need you to know before we land. Before it gets real. Before she's an actual person standing in an actual airport and not a concept I'm being brave about from a balcony in Rome." He held her gaze. "I need you to know that I know the difference between Rome brave and Huntsville brave, and I'm choosing Huntsville brave." The plane began its final descent. The seatbelt sign chimed on. Below them, Alabama came up to meet them. Ordinary, familiar, opinionated, theirs. Gloria looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, "The brochure." "What?" "When we get home, I'm throwing it away. Not the drawer, the bin." He understood. She could see that he understood. Not the brochure specifically, but what it meant. The last backup plan. The last escape route, dressed up as a dream. "Okay," he said. "No more junk drawer," she said. "No more junk drawer." The wheels touched down. Alabama received them without ceremony. The way Alabama receives everything, with heat and history and the long, flat patience of a place that has been here before you and will be here after and has no particular opinion about whether you are ready. They collected their bags, drove home. At her door, Junho set down her bags and looked at her and said, "I'll call her tonight. Call me after, whatever she says." Whatever she says, he confirmed. He left. She went inside, opened the junk drawer, took out the Amalfi Coast brochure, lemon trees, terracotta, water so blue it looked fake, and put it in the recycling bin under the sink without looking at it again. Washed her hands, put the kettle on, sat at the kitchen table and waited. He called at 10:30. She was still at the kitchen table. She answered before the first ring finished. "Tell me," she said. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "She cried." "I expected that." "Not the way I expected." His voice was different. Lower? Something in it she hadn't heard before. Not broken, but altered, the way a voice sounds when it has been in a room where something irreversible happened. She didn't cry because she was angry. She cried because she said she had known. She said she had known since March, that there was someone. She said she could hear it in my voice when we talked, that something had changed in me, and I was happy, and that made her afraid, because happy men who won't tell their mothers why are hiding something that will break their mother's heart. Gloria was very still. She knew since March, she said. She said mothers always know. He paused. She asked me if I was sure. Not about you specifically. She doesn't know about you specifically yet. I told her the name and the age, and she went very quiet. I told her about the baby, and he stopped. "Junho," she said. His voice was careful now, picking through something fragile. She said, in Korean, there's a word, jong. It doesn't translate exactly. It means a kind of love that comes from deep familiarity, from shared time and shared difficulty. It's the love you have for someone after you've been through things together. It's not the love of the beginning. It's the love of the middle and the end. He paused. She asked me if what I felt for you was jong, not just attraction, not just newness, not just the feeling of a young man for an older woman who makes him feel understood. Jong. Gloria's eyes were wet. She hadn't planned that either. "What did you say?" she asked. "I said I didn't know yet, that it was too new to know." He paused, and she said that was the right answer, that a man who claimed jong after 8 months was lying, but a man who was willing to ask the question, who was building toward it, who had already started the work of it, that man she could talk to. The kitchen was quiet, the ceiling fan, the recycling bin under the sink with the Amalfi Coast brochure in it, the tea gone cold. "She wants to meet me," Gloria said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, she's not ready to approve. She told me to be clear about that. She's not giving her blessing on a phone call from Seoul, but she wants to sit in a room with you." He paused. "She wants to look at the woman who has her son saying jong words on a phone call at midnight." Gloria laughed. "A real one." Surprised out of her. "Jeong words." Her word, not mine. She could hear the smile in his voice, fragile and real and tired from the call and still there. "She's going to be difficult." "I know." "She's going to have opinions." Korean mothers and Alabama best friends both have opinions. I'll survive. "Gloria, serious now. I need you to know that I didn't ask for her permission. I told her I was asking for her blessing and that the blessing was not a condition of the relationship. She knows where I stand. How did she take that?" "She said my father would be proud of me." His voice went rough on the last sentence. "My father died 4 years ago. She doesn't say that lightly." Gloria sat at her kitchen table in Huntsville, Alabama at 10:30 on a Thursday night and felt the weight of what this man had done. He had called his mother. He had said the name and the age and the baby. He had asked for blessing, not permission. He had sat in the truth without the careful version, and his dead father's pride was the thing his mother had offered in return. "Junho," she said. I'm proud of you." He was quiet for a moment. "You sound like a teacher." "I am a teacher." Gloria. I love you." "I know." She smiled at her cold tea. "I love you too. Go to sleep. Your mother lands in 4 days." "I know." A pause. "Are you scared?" Of your mother? Of all of it. The meeting, Lorraine, Atlanta, all of it. She thought about it honestly. The OB appointment next week, the due date assembling itself, the 3 meetings waiting, the city of Huntsville outside her window with its rockets and its cotton fields and its opinions that predated her birth. Yes, she said, I'm scared of all of it. Good, he said. Fear is just weather. She laughed, put her hand on her stomach. Get some sleep. She hung up, sat in the kitchen for a long time, her hand on her stomach where the baby was growing, 12 weeks now, the size of a lime according to the app she had downloaded in Rome and told no one about. 12 weeks. A lime. A heartbeat she had heard on a monitor in a dim Alabama room with Lorraine's hand on her arm. She was going to have this baby. She was going to meet his mother. She was going to let Lorraine sit across from Junho and deliver whatever verdict Lorraine delivered. She was going to go to Atlanta and let Denise look at him and decide. She was going to call Kevin. She had not called Kevin yet. Kevin, who called on Saturdays and had been getting the careful version for weeks. And she was going to tell him the true thing too. She was going to do all of it. Not because it was going to be easy, not because it was going to be clean, but because she had thrown the Amalfi Coast brochure away, and she was not going back to the junk drawer, and the managed version, and the life that fit inside a carefully controlled Tuesday afternoon. The second act had no intermission. She washed her cold teacup and went to bed. Lorraine came on Saturday. Not with wine this time. With food, a full pan of jollof rice and fried plantains, and a look on her face that said she had been preparing for this meeting since the morning after the Saturday she had first found out, and had decided, in the 3 weeks of Gloria's absence, exactly what she was going to say and in what order. Gloria had told Junho to come at noon. She had told Lorraine to come at 11. She had given Lorraine 1 hour, not to prepare him, but to prepare herself. Because Lorraine was the person who had been standing in the gap for 34 years, who had sat in the doctor's waiting room and been kept on the other side of the wall, who had called it an ambush and been right, and Lorraine deserved a moment of arrival before the man arrived. Lorraine put the jollof rice on the counter and stood in the kitchen and said, "How was Rome?" "Good," Gloria said. "How was he in Rome?" "Good." "I need more than good, Gloria." "He noticed when I hadn't eaten. He rerouted us when my knee was hurting without telling me he was rerouting us. He called his mother the night we got back and told her everything." Gloria paused. "Everything, Lorraine. The name, the age, the baby. He asked for her blessing and told her it wasn't a condition." Lorraine absorbed this. She looked at the jollof rice pan. She straightened the dish towel on the oven handle the way she straightened things when she was processing something she hadn't expected. What did his mother say? She asked him if what he felt was jung. What's jung? The love that comes after difficulty. The love of the middle and the end. Gloria looked at her. She didn't give her blessing on a phone call, but she wants to meet me. Lorraine was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Don't me? I'm not you. I'm processing." She turned from the oven. He told his mother before she arrived. He told her everything. He asked for blessing, not permission. She pressed her lips together. "That's not nothing." "No, it's not. It doesn't mean I'm ready to approve. I'm not asking you to approve, Lorraine. I'm asking you to come to lunch and look at him and talk to him and form your own honest opinion." Gloria looked at her best friend, the gold cross, the short silver hair, the 34 years of love that watched too closely, and felt, for the first time in a long time, that the watching was not a cage. It was care. And care, even when it pressed too hard, was better than absence. "You've been holding this with me since the Saturday. I'm asking you to finish holding it. Meet him. Look him in the eye. Tell me what you see. And if I see something you don't want me to see, then you tell me, and I sit with it." She paused. "That's what this is, Lorraine. You and me. That's always been what this is." Lorraine looked at her for a long moment. Then she nodded, picked up the dish towel. folded it, and put it back on the oven handle. "The jollof needs 30 minutes in the oven," she said. "He better eat 2 plates." Junho arrived at 12 on the dot. Gloria answered the door. He was wearing a white Oxford shirt and dark trousers, and the kind of careful grooming that said he had been thinking about this for days. Clean-shaven, hair pushed back, the thin black cord bracelet on his wrist, because she had once told him it was the detail she had noticed first. He was carrying a box of Korean pear tarts from the bakery in 5 Points that he had texted her about at 10:30 to ask if she thought was appropriate, and she had said yes, and the asking had been the right instinct. "You're nervous," she said quietly at the door. "Obviously," he said. "Good. She'll respect it more than if you weren't." He stepped inside. Gloria walked him to the kitchen doorway. Lorraine was standing at the counter, plating the jollof rice. She turned when she heard them. She looked at Junho with the full force of 34 years of watching people and deciding what she thought of them. Junho met her eyes. He did not look away. He did not smile too quickly or speak too soon. He stood in the kitchen doorway and let her look and held still in it, which was the only right response, and he had known it without being told. Then he held out the box of Korean pear tarts. "I didn't know what to bring," he said. "Gloria said these were appropriate. I'm not sure she was right, but I didn't have a better idea." Lorraine looked at the box, looked at him, looked at Gloria. Then she took the box from his hands and said, "Sit down. The rice is almost ready." It was not a welcome. It was not a verdict. It was Lorraine moving him from the doorway to the table, which was the only way Lorraine ever indicated that someone had passed the first threshold. Not words, not warmth, just the practical action of feeding them. They sat at the table. Lorraine served the rice. Junho served himself a full plate without being asked, which was the right instinct. He tried the jollof rice and said it was extraordinary and did not perform the compliment. He said it the way you say something that is simply true, flatly and with conviction, and Lorraine heard the difference. They ate, they talked, not carefully. Lorraine did not do careful. She asked him direct questions in the direct way she had been asking direct questions for 65 years, and he answered them without performance, without the managed version. She asked him what he wanted to be. He said he didn't know yet, and he was working on it, and he was not going to claim certainty he didn't have. Lorraine narrowed her eyes slightly and said that was honest at least. She asked him what he understood about what he was asking of Gloria. He said he understood she was taking a medical risk, and a social risk, and a family risk, and that none of them were abstract. He said he understood the cost was primarily hers, and that his job was to stop letting her carry it alone. He said cowardice was a pattern he was breaking, not a character trait he was keeping. Lorraine was quiet for a moment after that one. She looked at her rice. Then she said, "Where did that come from?" "Gloria," he said. "She doesn't let me get away with the comfortable version." Lorraine looked at Gloria. Gloria looked at her rice. "No," Lorraine said. "She doesn't." Something shifted in her voice. The cross-examination quality softened by a degree. Not gone, not warm, but moved. She never has. She asked him about his mother. He told her about the call, the Jong question, the blessing not permission, his father's name offered at the end. Lorraine listened to all of it without interrupting, which was the most unusual thing she had done all afternoon because Lorraine interrupted everything. When he finished, she said, "Your mother sounds like a woman who raised you right even when it hurt her." "Yes," he said, "she did. Then when she gets here and she sits across from Gloria, you let them talk. You don't mediate. You don't explain. You don't soften anything. You let 2 women who love you have the conversation they need to have without you managing it. I know. I'm not asking if you know. I'm telling you what's going to happen." She picked up her fork. "Can you do that?" He looked at her. "Yes." "Good." She pointed her fork at his plate. "You have more rice." He served himself a second plate. Gloria picked up her tea and looked at the ceiling fan. Lorraine ate her jollof rice with the composure of a woman who had prepared for a verdict and discovered the verdict was more complicated than she had planned for. and had decided that complicated was acceptable as long as it was honest. It was not an approval. It was the beginning of one, which was all Gloria had asked for. After lunch, Lorraine helped clear the table and then picked up her purse and stood in the kitchen doorway and looked at Junho one more time. "She has a doctor's appointment on Wednesday," she said. "I drive her." "I know," Junho said. "Gloria told me." "Good." Lorraine looked at him with the full 34 years of it. "You can come too." She left. The front door clicked. The Buick started in the driveway. Gloria and Junho stood in the kitchen in the silence she left behind. He looked at the closed front door, then at Gloria. "Did she just—" "Yes," Gloria said. "That's—" "Yes." Gloria started washing the dishes. "Don't make a big thing of it. She'll take it back if you make a big thing of it." He came to stand beside her at the sink, picked up the dish towel, started drying. They washed and dried the dishes in the Huntsville afternoon, the ceiling fan turning, the summer pressing against the windows, Oakwood Avenue going about its ordinary business outside, and the kitchen smelling like jollof rice and Korean pear tarts, and the particular domestic peace of a life that was in the process of becoming something it had not been before. Not finished, not resolved, but becoming. Mrs. Park arrived on a Tuesday. Junho picked her up from Huntsville International alone. Gloria had offered to come, half offered, the kind of offer you make when you know the answer should be no, but want to demonstrate the willingness. He had said no. The no was right. She had respected it. She spent the morning at her kitchen table with her tea and her legal pad. She had written a 9th line. 9. I am going to meet his mother tomorrow, and I am not going to perform. She underlined it once. Then she sat and waited and tried not to manage the waiting, which was the hardest thing she had done since Rome. He called at 2. "She's settled," he said. "She wants to meet you tomorrow. Dinner, my apartment." "Okay." A pause. "Gloria, when she saw me, she held my face. She just held my face and didn't say anything for a long time." His voice had that roughness in it, the roughness of a son who has been away too long. "She's smaller than I remembered." Gloria was quiet. She brought doenjang jjigae in a sealed container in her checked bag. She carried it 14 hours from Seoul so I could have home-cooked food. He laughed, short and rough. "She's been doing that since I moved to the States. Every visit, sealed containers of jjigae and kimchi and whatever she made the week before the flight." Gloria thought about this woman, packing sealed containers of home for her son, carrying them across 14 hours of flight so he would have something familiar to eat in Alabama. The specific language of a mother who doesn't know how to stop feeding her child even when the child is 30 years old and on the other side of the world. "Tell me one thing about her," Gloria said. "Something I won't see at dinner. Something she would never show a stranger." He thought about it. "She hums when she's nervous. Old Korean folk songs. She doesn't know she's doing it." He paused. She hummed the whole drive from the airport. Gloria closed her eyes. This woman, humming folk songs in a car in Alabama because her son had told her something that rearranged her understanding of his life. And she had gotten on a plane anyway, and she was humming because she was afraid. "She's afraid of me," Gloria said. "Yes." "Good. I'm afraid of her. We're even." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "She asked me one thing in the car. She asked me if you were kind." The word landed in Gloria's kitchen like something dropped from a height. Kind. Not young, not Korean, not the right age or the right background or the right anything. Kind. "What did you say?" Gloria asked. "I said you were the most demanding person I had ever met, and you didn't let me get away with anything, and you made me say true things when I wanted to say comfortable things." He paused. "And she said that sounded like kindness to her." Gloria's eyes were wet. "Junho," she said. What's her favorite color?" A surprised pause. "What?" "I want to know something small and real about her before I sit across from her." "I don't know. I've never asked." "Ask her tonight, before dinner tomorrow. Text me the answer." "Gloria, I'm not performing. I'm not going to bring her a gift in her favorite color or make a speech about it. I just want to know something small and real about her before she knows me. She pressed her palm flat on the table. I want to know her a little before she knows me, that's all. A long pause. Okay, he said. I'll ask. And Junho, don't translate everything tomorrow. Let there be things she says in Korean that I can't follow. This first dinner is not about me understanding everything. It's about her seeing who I am. Okay, and don't mediate. Lorraine told me. Lorraine is right. Gloria looked at her legal pad. The 9 lines. What time does she wake up in the morning? 5 a.m. Every morning. She makes tea and watches the news. 5 a.m., Gloria repeated. She thought about a woman waking at 5 a.m. in an unfamiliar Huntsville apartment, watching Korean news on her phone, drinking tea in the Alabama dark before her son was awake, alone with whatever she was feeling, without anyone to hum to. Go be with her, Gloria said. She came 14 hours for you. Go be with her. You're sure? I'm sure. I'll see you both tomorrow at 7. She hung up, sat at the kitchen table, picked up her pen, added a 10th line. 10. Park Mireille wakes at 5 a.m. and hums folk songs when she's afraid and asked if I was kind. That is enough to begin with. She underlined it once. Her phone buzzed 20 minutes later. Junho. Her favorite color is blue, the dark kind, like the sea at night. Gloria read it twice, put the phone down, looked at the ceiling fan. The dark kind, like the sea at night. She thought about a woman in Seoul choosing a favorite color like that. Not sky blue, not soft blue, the dark kind, the kind that has depth to it, the kind that holds things. She thought, I might like her. Then immediately, that is the most dangerous thought I have had since 2 pink lines. She got up, made fresh tea, put her hand on her stomach where the baby was, 13 weeks, the size of a peach, and thought about Park Mireille, humming folk songs in a car in Alabama, and carrying sealed containers of jjigae 14 hours across the ocean so her son would have something familiar to eat. She thought, we are both women who carry things a long way for the people we love. She thought that might be enough to start with. She went to bed. The dinner was at 7. Gloria arrived at 6:58. Not early enough to seem anxious. Not late enough to seem careless. She had stood in front of her bathroom mirror for 30 minutes before leaving. Not the checking kind of looking, the seeing kind, and had put on a dress she had bought in Rome. Dark green silk, simple cut, the kind of dress that didn't announce itself, the small gold hoop earrings, no other jewelry. She had left the ring finger bare the way it had been bare for 12 years and would stay bare, and she was not performing the bareness or hiding it. It was simply true. She had not brought anything. He had the Korean pear tarts for his mother. She had brought herself, which was the only appropriate thing. Junho opened the door. He looked at her the way he had looked at her in the hotel doorway in Trastevere. Present, open, the careful gone. He stood aside. She walked in. The apartment was clean, in the way apartments are clean. When someone has spent 3 days preparing for a parent's arrival, not just tidy but considered, everything in a position that said, I live like this. This is who I am. Please believe it. A bookshelf with actual books, red ones, spines, creased, a sound system, framed photographs, his family in Seoul, a mountain she did not recognize, one photo of a cityscape that might have been Huntsville from Montesano at night, a kitchen that smelled like doenjang jjigae and something sweeter. Park Mireille was standing at the kitchen counter. She was smaller than her photographs. That was the first thing. In the Chuseok photos, she had seemed large with presence, the hanbok, the posture, the expression of a woman at the center of her family's occasion. In person, she was 5'2", slight, with silver hair cut close to her head and a face that was Junho's face rearranged into its feminine origins. The same strong jaw, softer, the same dark eyes, deeper set, the same quality of attention, older and more practiced. She was wearing a navy blue blouse and dark trousers and small pearl earrings, and she was holding a wooden spoon, and she looked at Gloria with those dark, practiced eyes and did not smile and did not frown. She looked. Gloria let her look. She stood in the apartment doorway and let Park Mi-rae look at her the way Lorraine had looked at Jun-ho in the kitchen, the full force of it. She held still in it. She did not perform warmth she didn't have yet, or distance she didn't feel. She simply stood and was looked at. Then Park Mi-rae said something in Korean, short, decisive. Jun-ho translated quietly. She says you're taller than she expected. Gloria looked at Park Mi-rae directly. Tell her I'm shorter than I feel. Jun-ho translated. Park Mi-rae looked at Gloria for a moment. Then something moved in her face. Not a smile, not quite, but the precursor to one, a shift at the corners of her mouth that said, "That was not what I expected you to say." "Anya," Park Mi-rae said, and gestured to the table. "Sit," Jun-ho said. They sat. The table was set for 3. Park Mi-rae had made the doenjang jjigae she had brought from Seoul and banchan she had assembled from the Korean grocery in Huntsville that Jun-ho had taken her to that morning. Kimchi, japchae, a spinach dish, pickled radish. She had cooked in her son's kitchen the way mothers cook in their children's kitchens, with the particular authority of a woman who is on unfamiliar ground and is reasserting herself through the one thing that is always hers. Gloria took a full serving of everything. She did not perform the serving. She took what she actually wanted, including a second spoonful of kimchi, because she had liked kimchi since the first time Jun-ho had brought her kimchi jjigae and burned her lips, and she had asked for more. Park Mi-rae watched her take the second spoonful of kimchi. Something registered in her face. They ate. Jun-ho sat between them and did not mediate, which cost him visibly. She could see him holding himself back from translating things that didn't need translating, from smoothing things that didn't need smoothing, the effort of a man keeping a promise he had made to 2 women simultaneously. Park Mi-rae spoke to Jun-ho in Korean. He answered. They had a brief exchange that Gloria could not follow, and she let herself not follow it the way she had asked for, letting there be things between a mother and son in their language that were not hers to hear. Then Park Mi-rae turned to Gloria and said in careful accented English, "You are teacher." "I was," Gloria said. "I retired." "How long, teacher?" 41 years. Park Mi-rae considered this. "My mother was teacher," she said. "In Busan, primary school." She paused. She say, "Teaching is giving your life away in small pieces." Gloria looked at this woman. "My mother said something similar. She said teachers die twice, once when they retire and once when they actually die, because the classroom is the first life and the rest is the second." Jun-ho translated the second half for his mother. Park Mi-rae listened. Then she looked at Gloria with those dark, practiced eyes and said something in Korean. Jun-ho was quiet for a moment. "What did she say?" Gloria asked. He looked at his mother. She nodded slightly. "Permission." "She said," he translated carefully, "that a woman who understands the second life is a woman who has already survived the first one." The table was very quiet. Gloria looked at Park Mi-rae. Park Mi-rae looked at Gloria. Between them on the table, the doenjang jjigae steamed, and the kimchi sat, and the banchan was half eaten, and the apartment smelled like Seoul in a kitchen in Huntsville, Alabama, and outside the window the summer dark was settling over. The city with its usual indifference. "Yes," Gloria said, "to Park Mi-rae directly, not to Jun-ho." "That's exactly right." Park Mi-rae held her gaze. Then she said something else in Korean, shorter this time. She says, Jun-ho translated, and his voice was rough, that she wants to ask you something. And she is asking you, not me. She wants you to answer her, not me. "Okay," Gloria said. Park Mi-rae set down her chopsticks, folded her hands on the table, looked at Gloria with the full weight of a mother who had gotten on a plane and carried sealed containers of home across 14 hours of ocean, and asked her son about Jung and hummed folk songs in a rental car, and woken at 5 a.m. in an unfamiliar apartment to watch the news alone in the Alabama dark. She spoke, slowly, in Korean, watching Gloria's face while she spoke. Jun-ho translated sentence by sentence. She says, "My son is 30 years old. He is the age I was when I had him. He thinks he knows what he wants, but he is still learning what he is." A pause while Park Mireille continued. She says, "You are 60 years old. You have already been where he is going. You have already made the mistakes he will make. You have already paid the costs he has not yet paid." Another pause. She says, "This is not a question about love. I can see that he loves you. I can see that you are not a woman who would let a man love her who did not deserve to." Park Mireille's voice slowed. Jun-ho's translation slowed with it. She says, "My question is this. When he makes the mistakes, and he will make them, he is 30 and a man and my son, and he will make them. Will you have enough left to forgive him, or will you be too tired?" The apartment was completely still. Jun-ho had stopped looking at his mother. He was looking at the table. Gloria looked at Park Mireille, this small woman with the dark eyes and the navy blouse and the wooden spoon she had set down to ask this question. This woman who had raised a son, who said cowardice is a pattern I'm breaking, and stood in a Roman alley and refused to let her be infrastructure. This woman who had loved him right even when it hurt her, and who was sitting across a dinner table in Alabama asking the only question that actually mattered. Not, is she appropriate? Not, is she Korean? Not, is she young enough? Or the right background? Or the right anything? Will you have enough left? Gloria held the question, really held it. Not the managed version, not the performed version. Let it land the way hard questions land when they are asked by someone who deserves a real answer. She thought about the 41 years, the divorce, the house on Oakwood she had fought for, the quiet that had been a prison, the 2 pink lines at 5:47 in the morning, the legal pad with 10 lines on it, the Amalfi Coast brochure in the recycling bin, Rome, the cobblestone alley and her knee and I don't know how to stop, the balcony and I love you said as a dependent clause, Lorraine and the jollof rice and you can come too, the heartbeat on the monitor in the dim room. She thought about everything she had survived and everything she had given away and everything she was choosing to give again, and whether choosing it at 60 meant she was tired or whether it meant she had learned. Finally, after all of it, the difference between giving yourself away and giving yourself toward something. "I'm 60 years old," Gloria said to Park Mireille, directly, without Jun-ho. "I have raised 2 children and buried a marriage and taught 41 years of other people's children, and I am carrying your grandchild. I have been tired my whole life." She paused. "Tired is not the same as empty. I have never been empty. And your son?" She stopped, looked at him briefly, looked back at Park Mireille. "Your son makes me feel less tired. Not because he carries things for me, because when I'm with him, I remember why the carrying was worth it." Jun-ho translated. His voice was controlled, and she could hear what the control was costing him. Park Mireille listened. Her face was still. The eyes were bright. Then she said one word in Korean. "What does that mean?" Gloria asked. Jun-ho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "It's not really translatable. It means something like yes, but bigger than yes. Like, I receive this. I accept this into myself. Like, yes, that has been considered and held and found to be enough." Gloria looked at Park Mireille. Park Mireille looked at Gloria. Then Park Mireille reached across the table and put her hand over Gloria's hand. Briefly, just a moment, a touch that lasted no longer than a breath, and then she picked up her chopsticks and said something to Jun-ho that made him laugh, a surprised, real one. "She says," he said, "that you take too much kimchi. It will give the baby an adventurous palate." Gloria looked at the kimchi on her plate. Then she looked at Park Mireille. Then she took another spoonful of kimchi. Park Mireille made a sound. It was not a laugh. It was not quite a smile. It was something smaller and more true than both. The sound a woman makes when someone has just done the exact right thing and she did not expect it and is not quite ready to admit how much she appreciates it. They finished dinner. They ate the Korean pear tarts. Park Murray made tea from leaves she had brought from Seoul in a small cloth pouch, the same pouch her mother had sent her with when she first left Korea 30 years ago, and that she had been refilling ever since. She made 3 cups, set one in front of Gloria without asking. After dinner, Park Mi-rae washed the dishes. Junho dried. Gloria sat at the table and watched them in the kitchen, mother and son, small and tall, the same jaw, the same attention, the ease of 2 people who have shared a kitchen in enough different kitchens to have developed a wordless choreography. She watched them and thought about Denise, who had her jaw and her gap between her teeth and who was waiting in Atlanta with a verdict. She thought about Kevin, who had her stubbornness and her silence and who still needed to be called with the true thing. She thought about the baby, their baby, the size of a peach. 13 weeks of becoming unaware of any of this, of dinners in Huntsville apartments and Korean pear tarts and sealed containers of jjigae carried across oceans and women who asked, "Will you have enough left?" and received answers in kitchens in Alabama. Park Mi-rae came back to the table and sat down with her tea. She looked at Gloria and said something in Korean, quiet, direct. "She's not asking Junho to translate this one," Gloria said. "Not a question." Park Mi-rae shook her head. "No." She spoke again, slower, watching Gloria's face. Gloria did not understand the words. She understood the face. She had been reading faces for 60 years, 41 of them belonging to children who didn't have the words yet for what they needed, and so put it in their expressions, in their bodies and their eyes, and hoped someone was paying enough attention to see. She was paying attention. She saw a mother who had been afraid on a plane and afraid in a rental car and afraid at a kitchen counter. A mother who had asked about Jong and about kindness and about whether there was enough left. A mother who had made tea from leaves she had been carrying for 30 years and set a cup in front of a stranger without asking. She saw not approval, not warmth, not yet, but the beginning of something that could become both, given time and honesty, and the willingness to sit at a table in Alabama and take too much kimchi and mean it. She said, not in Korean, not performing what she didn't have, "I know I'm not what you planned for him." Park Mi-rae watched her. "I know you had a different life in mind. A daughter-in-law who speaks your language and knows which dish goes where at Chuseok and can sit at your mother's table without needing things explained." Gloria held her gaze. "I can't give you that. I can only give you what I actually am, which is a woman who loves your son without the careful version, who is going to have his child, and who understands, because I am also a mother, that you got on a plane." She paused. "Getting on the plane is everything," she said. "I know that, and I won't forget it." Junho had stopped drying the dish in his hand. He was very still in the kitchen doorway. Park Mi-rae looked at Gloria for a long time. Then she turned to her son and said something short. He came to the table and sat down. "She says she's not ready to say everything is fine. She wants you to know that. Tell her I'm not asking for fine. Fine is not a foundation." He translated. Park Mi-rae listened. Then she said something and looked at her tea and said something else. "She says," Junho said quietly, "that she is going to stay 3 weeks, and that she would like, if you are willing, to have dinner again before she leaves, just the 2 of you, without me translating." Gloria looked at Park Mi-rae. "How?" Junho almost smiled. "She says, you'll figure it out. She says women always figure it out when men get out of the way." Gloria looked at this small woman with the dark eyes and the navy blouse and the tea leaves from her mother's pouch and the question that had no comfortable version. "Tell her yes," Gloria said. "Tell her I'll learn enough Korean to order the wine." Park Mi-rae heard the word Korean and looked up sharply. Junho translated. Park Mi-rae stared at Gloria for a moment. Then she laughed. A real one, short and surprised and entirely her own, Nothing like Junho's laugh, not belly deep, more like a door opening quickly and closing again, but real, undeniable. It was the most expensive sound Gloria had heard in a long time, because it was not given. It was surprised out of her, and surprised laughter is the only honest kind. Wine, Park Mi-rae said in English. The single word, pointing at Gloria. Wine, Gloria confirmed. Park Mi-rae shook her head slowly. Said something in Korean that was clearly not a compliment, and was clearly not an insult, and was clearly the exact tone a woman uses when she has met someone she didn't expect to and doesn't quite know what to do with that. Yet, Junho put his face in his hands. What did she say? Gloria asked. He looked up. His eyes were bright. She said, "This woman is going to be a problem." Gloria picked up her tea. Tell her she's not wrong.